A colonization mission gets sidetracked when the crew intercepts a transmission from a nearby planet. So they decide to investigate the source of the transmission. But is it the right choice? Let's find out in the movie. At the beginning of the movie, a business tycoon named Peter Wayland tests the intellect and skills of his newly created android. The android shows a great amount of intellect, even naming himself David after seeing Michelangelo's statue. He then plays the piano to the tune of Richard Wagner's music like a professional. Afterward, David asks that if Peter created him, then who created Peter? The man says he wants an answer to that same question as well, and they can find the answer to it together. However, David points out that Peter will eventually die, but he will not, making it impossible for them to learn the answer together. This disturbs Peter and makes him speechless. The scene then changes to the year 2104. A colonization vessel called Covenant, which was 15 crew members, 2,000 colonists, and 1,140 embryos in stasis, is en route to the planet Aurigae 6. At the moment, the Covenant is still 7 years and 4 months away from the said planet. An android named Walter, who looks exactly like David, is currently manning the Covenant with the help of the ship's AI system called Mother. Then, all of a sudden, Mother alerts him of an incoming stellar flare. Walter initiates emergency crew revival, waking up all the crew members of the Covenant. However, the stasis pod of Jacob, the crew's captain, is malfunctioning and not opening. The crew tries their best to help their captain, but they cannot break it. His wife Daniels and the crew emotionally watch as Jacob burns to death. Because of what happened, Jacob's second in command, named Orem, steps up as the new captain of the crew. After the incident, there are now 14 crew members left. Everyone except Daniels meets in the control room. Orem promises the crew that he will do his best as their new captain. Then, he proceeds to report the casualties and damages because of the stellar flare incident. Aside from Jacob, they also lost 47 colonists and 16 embryos. Luckily, the ship's overall status is still holding at 83%. However, many of their secondary systems are now offline. At this time, he orders the crew to start working to fix the ship. Just then, Daniels arrives, reporting that the terraforming vehicles are stable but still need some checking. Seeing that Daniels is already working, the whole crew starts working as well. Afterward, Walter accompanies Daniels to the terraforming bay where they check vehicles. There, Daniels shares with Walter the dream she had with Jacob about making a cabin on Aurigae 6. But after Jacob's death, Daniels cannot see the point of continuing that dream anymore. After some time, Orem sees on the security camera that Daniels and some of the crew are having a drink to pay respect to Jacob. Seeing this, Orem gets frustrated because he thinks they disrespect him. His wife, Corinne, points out that Daniels is just grieving over her husband. Later on, after Tennessee and Anchor fix the ship from outside, the power completely gets back on the ship. On their way back to the Covenant, they intercept a rogue transmission. Inside, the crew reviews the transmission and discovers that it is from a human. Upon further analysis, they find out that it comes from a nearby planet, which turns out to be more habitable than Aurigae 6. This discovery makes Orem want to inspect it, which will only take them weeks to travel. But Daniels points out that all their training is done in preparation for the habitation of Aurigae 6. And with the sudden appearance of a new perfect planet, she thinks that it is too good to be true. But Orem insists that they need to investigate this planet because it can be a way better planet for their colony. After a few weeks, they reach the planet's atmosphere. While Tennessee, Ricks, and his wife Upworth stay on the Covenant, the rest of the crew rides a lander to the planet. Upon entering the planet, they have to face an iron storm. Fortunately, they manage to go through it, but it kind of damages their communication lines with Covenant. As they expected, the planet looks like Earth with its terrain, mountains, plant life, and waters. Even the oxygen is sustainable, allowing the crew to not wear any masks. As the others begin searching for the source of transmission, Ferris, Tennessee's wife, is left to check on the vehicle's condition. After a while, Kareen decides to stay at the marshland to study the ecology of the place. Lope, the head of the security unit, orders Ledward to accompany Kareen. Not long after, Ledward steps on a plant and its spores get into his ear. In the mountains, other members discover a crash site. As they enter the ship, Hallett finds the plant just like what Ledward stepped on. Upon checking it, the plant releases spores and it gets into his nose. Inside, Daniels discovers a name tag belonging to a doctor named Elizabeth Shaw. Walter then explains that Elizabeth worked as the chief science officer on the previous expedition. That is when Daniels realizes that the ship they are in at the moment is Prometheus, which disappeared 10 years ago. At the other part of the ship, Orem and the others discover that the transmission they intercepted is a recorded feed of a woman singing. Just then, the crew gets notified by Kareen and Ledward that Ledward is sick. Hearing this, they decide to head back to the lander. Meanwhile, Ferris alerts the Covenant about Ledward's condition. But because of their damaged communication lines, the Covenant cannot get a clear feed from her. Shortly after, Ferris hears Kareen calling out for help. As she gets out of the lander, she sees Ledward puking blood on Kareen. They immediately take Ledward to the medbay, and Ferris rips his clothes to check on him. Unexpectedly, she sees something moving from Ledward's back. As it pokes a hole in the man's body, blood is spewed on her face. Seeing this, Ferris hurriedly goes out of the medbay and locks Kareen inside to keep the infection isolated. She then contacts Orem and tells him to get back on the lander as fast as they can. Just then, Ledward starts convulsing aggressively. Suddenly, an alien bursts out of Ledward's back, finally killing him. Ferris quickly goes to get a gun and alerts the crew that an alien is on board. But when Ferris goes back for Kareen, she slips on Ledward's blood and shoots the ceiling. This alerts the alien and it starts chasing her instead. Ferris runs again to get another gun and shoots it, but it's too fast and she just ends up blowing up the lander. Just in time, Orem and the crew arrive to see their vehicle explode. Orem wants to go save Kareen, but Daniel stops him by pinning him on the ground. Meanwhile, Hallett starts convulsing and puking blood as well. Another alien bursts out of his mouth, but it just runs away instead of attacking them. While Lope mourns the death of Hallett, Daniels is trying to reach the Covenant but fails. A little later, they are attacked by other aliens and the crew struggles to take them down. When an alien is about to attack Daniels, Walter saves her life by letting his hand get bitten. In the chaos, Anchor is killed by an alien, which is then killed by the crew as well. Suddenly, a mysterious man shoots a very bright flare gun, scaring other aliens away. When the crew points their gun at him, the man just plainly orders them to follow him. After a while, they are brought to a place that seems to be a city, where stand several humanoid statues. When they finally enter a temple, the man reveals himself to be none other than the android David. After assuring the crew that they are safe now, David proceeds to explain the situation to them. According to him, he and Dr. Elizabeth are the survivors of the Prometheus expedition. The ship they traveled on was carrying a deadly pathogen. However, they accidentally released the payloads of pathogens in the air upon their landing. Worse, they lost control of the ship, and Dr. Elizabeth was killed in the crash. The pathogen that David is talking about is the one that infected Ledward and Hallett. Hearing all this information, Orem asks if they have been infected by now, since they were exposed to the air too. But David doesn't give him a direct answer. Afterward, he helps Lope and Cole to get into the roof to try contacting the Covenant. But due to the ion storm, their signals to reach the main ship are blocked. In the Covenant, Tennessee wants to fly the ship closer to the planet. Rix and Upworth try to stop him because the ion storm might destroy their ship. But Tennessee is so worried that he doesn't listen to the two, so he continues to descend to the planet. Meanwhile, in the temple, Walter finds David's room full of sketches of different life forms. Shortly after, David, who just cut his hair short, finds him. During the conversation, Walter notices that David is more human-like. Compared to him, David has now developed more emotions and free will. On the other side of the temple, Orem and Daniels are left alone. Orem humbles himself and tells Daniels that she is right about the planet all along. He is blaming himself for the death of his crew members. Hearing that Orem is losing his will, Daniels encourages him and says they need him now as a captain even more. Outside, David takes Walter to Dr. Elizabeth's grave. A flashback is then shown revealing what really happened 10 years ago. As it turns out, David purposely released the pathogens on the humanoids living on the planet. As they ran to the temple for salvation, the pathogens killed and consumed the humanoids. Eventually, the pathogens turned their corpses into statue-like figures, but David continues his lies with Walter, saying that he was badly injured during their mission and the doctor fixed him. He also reveals that he loved Dr. Elizabeth so much, just like Walter loves Daniels. He points out that Walter displays a love for Daniels when he sacrificed his hand for her. But Walter denies it, saying that he is only doing his duty. On the other side, Rosenthal is cleaning up her wounds. But suddenly, the alien that escaped earlier attacks and kills her. After a while, Orem decides to look for her. During this time, David finds the alien feasting on Rosenthal's body. As the alien comes face to face with him, Orem arrives just in time to see them. He points his gun at the alien, but David tells Orem not to shoot because the alien is starting to trust him. Yet, the captain doesn't listen to him and kills it. Seeing Rosenthal's head floating in the water, Orem points his gun at David, ordering the android to tell him what is really happening. David complies and brings Orem to his room. There, he explains that the pathogen takes many forms and can mutate easily. As it turns out, David has been studying the alien's different forms for years because he's the one who engineered them. Afterward, David takes the captain to a basement. There, he tricks Orem into being attacked by an alien called Facehugger. Shortly after, another alien mutation called Protomorph bursts out of Orem's chest. David smiles as he watches the alien copy his actions. Meanwhile, Lope and Cole finally manage to reach the Covenant as the ship enters the planet's atmosphere further. They immediately report their situation to the main ship and request immediate evacuation. After hearing this, Tennessee and the others decide to descend further into the storm to help their crew. Not long after, Daniels arrives on the roof and talks to Tennessee. She suggests that they should just use the cargo lift to evacuate the crew immediately. Tennessee immediately agrees to the idea because he wants to talk to his wife. But Daniels tells him that Ferris is already gone. Although devastated, he still wants to rescue his crew members. After that, Daniels, Lope, and Cole begin to look for Orem and Rosenthal to tell them about the evacuation plan. However, Cole is horrified to see Rosenthal's head floating in the water. That is when they realize that something wrong is going on in the temple. Daniels orders Lope and Cole to find Orem. Then, she tells Tennessee, who's piloting the cargo lift, to pick them up immediately. After a while, Walter finally realizes what David truly is when he discovers Dr. Elizabeth's corpse in another room that belongs to David. As it turns out, David is using the doctor's body as material for his aliens. Due to this, he confronts David about the truth. David points out that he is going to stop their colonization mission because he deems humanity as an inferior species than androids and that they don't deserve to live. But Walter says he will not let David succeed. Hearing this, David disables Walter by stabbing him in the neck. Meanwhile, Cole reaches the basement where he discovers Orem's body. Shortly after, a facehugger attacks him. Cole shoots it, but the alien runs upstairs, attacking Lope instead. He quickly follows and removes the facehugger, but its blood starts burning Lope's face. To make matters worse, the protomorph from earlier attacks Cole. On the other side of the temple, Daniels discovers David's archives about his studies on Dr. Elizabeth and the aliens. It doesn't take long before David finds her and threatens to make her a testing material as well. Daniels tries to escape, but the android just thrashes her around. When David forces to kiss Daniels, he is suddenly thrown back by the recovered Walter. After letting Daniels escape, the two androids fight. Seeing David is surprised by his recovery, Walter just points out that he is more advanced than him in many ways. The fight continues, and David keeps on targeting Walter's neck. But Walter does not falter, using a knife to fight him. He also manages to gain the upper hand in the fight. But he doesn't notice that David is secretly reaching for the knife he dropped. At the same time, Lope alerts Daniels that the alien is coming to kill them. Hearing this, they immediately head out of the temple. When the cargo lift arrives, the two immediately board the vehicle, followed by Walter. Daniels asks him where David is, to which Walter says he's gone. However, the protomorph manages to hitch a ride for the lift. Tennessee alerts the others of this, and Daniels heads out to fight the alien. After hooking herself to the vehicle, Daniels tries to shoot the protomorph, but it's too fast. Daniels orders Tennessee to release the crane, and she uses it to capture the alien. Waiting for the right timing, she opens up the crane and kicks the protomorph to fall to the ground. Upon reaching the Covenant, Lope gets treated immediately. Meanwhile, Daniels helps Walter by stapling his cuts on the face. She also thanks him for saving her life twice. After some time, Tennessee informs Daniels that he puts Mother offline for a run of full diagnostics. With Orum's death, Daniels is now the captain of the crew. The two share a moment to mourn for their late crew members. Later on, when Mother goes back online, it immediately calls Daniels to the medbay. This wakes her up, and she asks what is happening. According to Mother, there is an unidentified life form on the ship. When Daniels and Tennessee arrive at the medbay, they are horrified to see Lope's dead body. As it turns out, he got infected by the facehugger this whole time. Walter, who's in the control room, scans the ship for the location of the alien. Then, he informs the two that it's heading to the crew's quarters where Ricks and Upworth are. When Daniels and Tennessee head to the quarters, Mother initiates an alarm to warn Ricks and Upworth, but they cannot hear it because of the loud music. Then all of a sudden, a protomorph breaks in and kills them. When Daniels and Tennessee arrive, it is already too late. At this moment, Daniels comes up with an idea to defeat the alien. She orders Walter to close all paths and only leave the way to the terraforming bay open. When the protomorph steps into the bay, she lures it to follow her. After leading it to one of the terraforming trucks, she traps it inside. Just then, Tennessee opens the seal to throw the alien into space. However, the trucks get jammed and the protomorph starts to break out of the vehicle. At this critical moment, Tennessee releases another truck, which hits the alien as the truck rolls off the Covenant. After that, everyone feels relieved that they finally got rid of aliens, and the two humans decided to finally go back to stasis mode. When it's Daniel's turn, Walter assures her that she will be at Orgay 6 by the time she wakes up. The movie ends with the revelation that David actually won over Walter and is now putting alien eggs into cold storage as the Covenant continues its way to Orgay 6. Alien Covenant is the sequel to the film Prometheus while also serving as the prequel to the original Alien film. Therefore, in chronological order, this is the fourth movie in the 8 movies in the Alien franchise. By watching this film, you will get quite an understanding of the origins of the aliens. However, just like any other franchise, inconsistency in plot and some information is still present in this film. But overall, this is a good film. Just make sure you watch Prometheus first.